your patch is finished and you can get ready to take it to the base. In order to take this to the base, you're gonna have to pick up all of these chests and delete these 4 red arms. If you are really slow, which I am right now, you are going to have an inventory full of garbage that you're going to need to get rid of in some capacity. So feel free to dump off anything you think you don't need. Handcraft, you can handcraft tons of belt. Sorry, one thing I forgot to go over is the handcrafting list for the base. Okay, so you're ready to go to the base. We have a handcrafting list now. You're going to make, excuse me, 80 red inserters. So I do this with right clicks. It makes 5 at a time, and then I just count it out. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. That's 80. You're going to make 50 blue inserters. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. You're going to make 30 iron chests. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. You're going to make 15 splitters. 1, 2, 3. 15 undergrounds. And when I say 15, it's actually going to make 30, but I go 1, 2, 3. I make 15 clicks worth of undergrounds. And then you're going to make 20 assembler ones. 1, 2, 3, 4. That should be a comprehensive list of the things that are urgent. The last thing on the list is labs. You need 40 labs. If your pace is getting really, really fast, you may find that you don't have enough belt to get all the labs and get your belt to the base. Very unlikely you're going to come into that problem, but if you start getting really, really fast, you may just have to be very careful with how much belt that you have. But ultimately, we're going to create 40 labs. Now, you may have 3 labs from when you picked up science earlier, so I'm going to make 37, but you need to hit 40 total in your hand. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 1, 2. That makes 37, going with my original 3. That is the complete handcrafting list to take these 3 belts up to the base, okay? The most complex part of the entire run is basically done now. Again, if you're slow, your inventory is going to be completely loaded with too much stuff. These boxes can stay here. Typically, when I go to the base, I pick up everything, but I don't have the inventory space to do that. Because again, if you're slower, you're gonna have way, way, way more junk in your inventory. Cut out whatever you feel like is best cutting out. Just the point now is to start taking these 3 belts. So these are the 3 belts that shoot out of the on patch, and you're gonna take all 3 of these belts to the main base. Keep them together. Make sure you also bring power. So again, right now you're taking belts and power to wherever your base is. So let's figure out where your base is going to go. You should have your main base print on your bar. I have it here. I do all of this from the map every single time. If you took a screenshot, you may have a rough sense of where you want the base. When you take out the base book, so I'm just going to look at it in detail. It's got 19 stages plus 3 mini stages at the start. If you are an experienced speedrunner that has practiced these blueprints a lot and wants to go a little faster, skip stages 0, 0, 1, 0, 2, and 0, 3. Skip 0, 1, 0, 2, and 0, 3 and just place 1. This is the stage I stamp at the start of every run. I just stamp 1. I have broken this down though for brand new runners that want this as easy to understand as possible. There's a 0, 1, a 0, 2, and a 0, 3 that is going to strip out all the fluff and only leave what is absolutely essential to be built. So the first thing I want us to look at is the long horizontal line that you see here. This long horizontal line is the front of the base. All of the material that is going into the base is coming up into this line. The stick that you see pointing up north, that is the 3 belts that we're building right now. Those are going to go up and into the heart of the base. The section that's got all the buildings, that is your red science, green science, and start of your mall that's inside the base. And the northern section of buildings is all your labs. The only thing here that you can completely ignore is that one building at the top, that is the landing bay. The landing bay has to be in every single blueprint to make sure it lines up throughout the run. So this is a rotatable print. If your base was to the south, it would look like this. If your base was over here to the west, it would look like this. We are going to the north, so it looks like this. We want that long horizontal line, everything north of that is going to be built. So where you place that long horizontal line, understand that like this iron patch here, for example, right here, if I place the base right here, I'm committing that I'm not using that iron patch, and I'm committing that that's okay. I am going to choose to place my base right here for this tutorial. So then that long section, which was right here, yeah, sorry, that's something I should point out. I don't know if I said flippable. You cannot flip the base. You can rotate it. You cannot flip it. Do not flip it. It is only rotatable. So this long line that sticks up right here, that is your entrance for your on patch. I don't know why I put a little 1 here. So if you're looking for like, where do I bring these belts? You're looking for this combinator with a 1 on it. Okay. So let's bring our belts up. All right. Now we have to look at how we connect our belts properly into this, because we've got 3 belts. We've got 3 places to put them. We want to make sure they end up in the correct spot. The one I always start with is this coal belt. So the splitter that's marked with coal is the same place that the belt with coal on it is going to go. Okay. Ideally, so you can flip the on patch. You can flip the on patch. When you flip the on patch, it may result in your coal belt being in the wrong place relative to the base. Typically, your coal belt is going to be the leftmost belt. In this case, it's the rightmost. When that happens, your coal has to come across, and you're going to need to burn some extra undergrounds getting these 2 in. So again, you just have to imagine this being mirrored. If coal's supposed to be on the left and it's on the right, you got to bring it across. The one that's in the middle, which is this one, is always going to be in the middle. So it stays here. And then our last one that's doing the copper one is always on the far right. So in 50% of your maps, if your on patch is the wrong orientation, you will need to do some magic here with the belts to make sure they hit the correct spots. Ultimately, coal is easily marked. Very easy to see. This middle one that's iron and chips is always in the center, and the copper one is always on the right. So just make sure they hit the right spots. Then you're going to Q-click these 2 splitters in, make these 2 undergrounds, and start dragging. You can leave this 1 here, or you can delete it. It doesn't matter. It's just there to show you where to go. I don't know why. Bring your poles and your 3 belts up. And now we're going to build the section that's going to catch all of this stuff. So this little hub right here is designed to receive everything from the on patch. We do this because it centralizes it all in the base, and it makes it so you never have to run back to the on patch if your on patch happen to be far away. So I usually bring the belts to about here, and then I build the power next. And all I'm focusing on right now is this section that is full of boxes. I am only focusing on this section full of boxes. I'm ignoring the pipe and the gear right now. If you build it all out of sequence, it doesn't really matter. Your goal is to build everything you see. But right now, I'm only focusing on this section that is full of boxes right here. This is where my 3 main lines are going to go, and I want to get them filtered into stuff as fast as possible. I try not to bring the full belt up first. I'll show you what happens. If I bring this full belt up first, prior to building these inserters, these little filters on the belt will not work. And you'll notice right now, copper has gone all the way to the end of the line, which we don't want. If the inserters get placed, so I build the boxes, notice this 1 out of place box for wire. Once all the boxes are placed, if you've placed this, you can straight drag inserters straight down. Once these inputting inserters are placed, the logic that is on the belts will start working. So flush the belt if you happen to build it in the wrong order. Now, on this belt, it will not let any copper through. This belt will not let any inserters through. This will not let any belt through, and this will catch all the drills. It is designed that nothing gets through that's not supposed to, so that everything is filtered correctly. if you build the belt first, it will not work. So build the inserters first, then the belt. All right, so let's build the boxes here. Same logic. If I bring this belt first, it is gonna let everything move past. I want circuits to stop here, but they're not. They're filtering up. So if I happen to make a mistake and allow that, I'm just gonna want to flush the belt to make sure it keeps working correctly and that stuff stops where it's supposed to. And then this last belt is just bringing iron up and over. And now we've got our full filtering section done. Once the filtering section is done, you can build the outputting arms for all of these outputting blue arms and build this one little gear arm here. Pop these gears through this way. And then you need to build the output for gears and green chips right here. Keep an eye on this one belt right here that's doing gear and plates. This is not a belt that's all going in the same direction. The gears go down, the plates go up. The only things that are critical to build right now are what you see me having built on screen, because what we're trying to do right now is set up green signs and red signs. So we've built our output for gear. We've built our output for circuits. This little bonus arm taking gear this way. We now have a belt that's got copper and gear, and we've got a belt that's got belt and inserters. That is all we need to build the science. So now we're going to come up and build this science section. At some point while you're building this, you will probably reach a point where the base disappears. So for me, that's right here. If that happens, it's only because on the map, when you pasted the base, it was in the black. So when you get to that point, just grab your base blueprint and just restamp it. So lining it up for visual cues, I just use the bottom horizontal line. There's a pretty obvious jut out on the right. And if you just line it up like that, it's a good visual. You're looking to see 2 clusters of labs like this. Now, this is a total of 80 labs. We handcrafted 40. Your goal is to build only half of this. I put both sets in the stamp because you may show up here and have there be like 1,000 rocks or trees in the way, but only on one set of the labs. Build whichever set does not have stuff in the way. That's all you need to know. Just build the one that does not have stuff in the way. It just gives you, because I've had a lot of runs where I show up and there's trees in the way, but if I had hypothetically put the other labs there, they wouldn't be in the way, and it's really annoying. So just trying to give you more options in case rocks and trees are there. You don't technically need to build this belt. It's just there to put the angle in, but you can build it. I usually prioritize the labs on the right because they're a little closer. But again, it's just about the ones that don't have stuff to deconstruct. You don't want to spend your time chopping trees and rocks if you don't have to. If you accidentally mess up and say do that, and then you like delete this, okay, so there's a few ways to fix it. You can undo until it's correct. Let's say I do that and I'm like, oh crap, okay, I know exactly where that lab goes. It goes here anyway. My modules are no longer in this lab. If this concerns you, you can copy and paste and then build it. Technically, there are force stamps that come in later, and the modules should get placed at that time. So it's okay if these get built without modules in them, because the force stamps later should fix it. If something else goes wrong, and you feel like you've built a certain percentage of the base wrong, and you're not really sure where the mess up was, deconstruct as much of the base as you feel like you have to, and then just restamp. There's a lot of random logic throughout the base and things that have to go in the right place. There's only so many force stamps that are there. If you feel lost and you're not sure what you did wrong, deconstruct as much as you need to and just restamp. The safest thing always is to just restamp. Okay, red and green signs are both done. This is a split. This is a huge checkpoint in the run. Congratulations. Now you're going to want to research again. You do not have to look at the research queue once until you get to this point. As long as you have all that stuff from the early red science, this is the next moment where you actually have to look at your research and now keep it running. Stuff you're trying to prioritize, especially if your pace is fast. You're trying to get to the car and you're trying to get to pump jacks. You also want assembler 2s and steel furnaces. So we're going to prioritize steel furnaces, engines, red belt, because that unlocks the car. And then we're going to prioritize fluid handling and oil gathering. Again, your objective here is assembler 2s, steel furnaces, a car, and pump jacks. That is what you're trying to accomplish with this tech. The order is not super critical because you're probably going to have it all researched before you need it, but those are the things you want most essentially. Once that is done, you can build this little section here that is making pipe and gear. And if you followed the handcrafting from earlier, you should have everything you need to build this, except for maybe, well, okay, I don't have enough belt, but that's here. Except for maybe undergrounds. If you happen to have like a really hard time getting your patch here and you burned through a lot of undergrounds, maybe you won't have undergrounds, but you should have everything else you need. And so you're literally just building a place to buffer gear and pipe. And the reason we're doing this is because we're going to need to build more power soon, and that is going to require a lot of gear and pipe. So we're just having this buffer, and then that is the first set of prints done. Things you can do with your inventory. If your inventory management is getting completely out of hand, you can dump any excess copper you have into these 2 chests right here. These 2 chests are for you to put copper. Anytime your inventory is full of copper, just dump it in these boxes. The whole point is to use these boxes to dump off copper. Another thing you can do is you can dump into all of these catching chests. If you feel like you have too many circuits, dump them here. Gears, plates. Be very careful not to mix these up because the outserting inserters don't have filters. So I've had many runs where I show up and I'm dumping plates and I get a little too aggressive and I put plates in this one, which is supposed to be gears. If that happens, try to catch it quickly because you'll have plates going up this belt, which you don't want. Okay. If you need wire for making power poles, it's going to be collected in this box. Small handcrafting list now. So there's a very small handcrafting list for the next section of the run. You should not need to reference much. It's very, very easy. Okay, so we're going to do 3 right clicks of all the basic things that we're not already making. So we're already making belt, we're already making yellow inserters, we're already making drills. All of the other major things we're going to do 3 right clicks of now. Yo, thank you so much for the follow, Gams Wizard. Also, hey, Diceken, how you doing? Okay, so what does that include? That includes iron chests. So 15 iron chests, 1, 2, 3. 15 undergrounds, 1, 2, 3. 15 splitters, 1, 2, 3. 15 red arms, 1, 2, 3. 15 blue arms, 1, 2, 3. And then also 15 assembler ones. If you're running out of material, pull it out of here. 1, 2, 3. That should give you everything you need to build the next section of the base. The only other things you're going to want to grab are as much belt as you possibly can, as many drills as you possibly can, and as many inserters as you possibly can. And then you may need to handcraft stone furnaces and power poles. You can now put in the next stamp, which is going to be the 02. This is setting up, so I'm just flashing it a little bit here. This is setting up your steel and your brick. So when I put this in, we're trying to make, the point of this build is to try to start making steel furnaces. That's your goal now, is to start making steel furnaces. So you can set these steel furnace assemblers up and then bring this belt down. This belt is fed material from the right side, which is brick, and from the left side, which is steel. Steel is a higher priority, but at the end of the day, it's just important to get it all built. So there's some runs where I do all of the steel first. There's some runs where I do the brick first. It just, your goal is to just get it all built as fast as possible, and that's all that matters. This top section of steel is visually confusing as hell. If you feel like you need to, just Q click through every single object. What I do is I do the 2 boxes, I do the 4 belts, and then the undergrounds, and then I can drag the blue arms through. That's what I do. Another thing you can do at this point in the run, so this is the steel section. The outside furnaces are smelting iron plates. The inside furnaces are doing steel. If you don't have steel axe yet and you want it, you can set up an intersection of furnaces, and I do this almost every single run. You can set up an intersection of furnaces like I just did, and you can bring iron plates to them, and you can fill them full of iron plates, and then put coal in, and that will get this starting steel axe for you, because you're coming up to a section where you probably will have to remove a decent chunk of trees, rocks, whatever. And then you're trying to build out all of this steel. This bottom string of 3 poles will drag through cleanly like that. And then your objective now is to bring this coal as far as this belt goes right here. So splitter, splitter, bring the coal over. And then on the inputs of these lanes, you need to build 2 red arms, blue arms, and these coal belts. Your goal is to get steel receiving coal. Ideally, if you have enough belts and enough time, is to get all of this receiving coal and then go out and get the ore. Because taking the coal filtering into this steel build is the thing that takes the longest. So if you leave the base, get the iron, come back, build it all, then add coal, you're going to slow down the startup time significantly. You want to get coal moving into this first. Now coal is starting to filter in. The inserters, you could build those now, or you could get iron. It doesn't matter. The point is, it's nice to have coal running into this. So if you're finding you don't have enough inserters yet, which happens to me in a lot of runs, I just leave the inserters unbuilt, get coal moving, go get iron, and come back and fix it later. All right, so let's talk about drills. We haven't built any drills yet at all. I know that T is done, but I don't really care right now. It's not critical to go over. We've got this big fat stack of iron, and we don't have any bots yet, and we're manually building drills. There is a book in here called Drills Prod 1. This is basically all of your drills for the entire run. If you open up this book and scroll through it, it's got tons of different drill patterns, okay? The very, very first one in the book is this little one here, which is shift clickable like that. I typically use that after bots. The ones that I use before bots are these longer ones that have, it should say the number of drills. So you see it says 30. 30 is like, you have no mining prod yet. So at the start of the run, you need 30 drills to fill every single lane. As soon as you get mining prod 1, that number drops to 28. So at the start of the run, 99% of the time, you're using one of these 2 drill patterns. You're either using the long one or the stubby one. And they both have 30 drills in them. You can also shift these and drag like this. And they go in perfectly. When you have a giant patch like this, I just find what I deem an ideal spot. I hold shift and I just drag down until I've reached the limit. These would probably then need to come over here because there's no coal on the, or no iron on the backside. But for now, this is plenty. And then right now I'm just trying to build 1 lane of iron to start steel. These are built with poles zigzagging. So the poles don't zigzag. They go all on one side. And then in the middle, they flip and they go all on the other side. I personally find it easier to do like, so, okay, this is something Amanda struggled with a lot, is building these. So I'm just going to build this other one because I got tons of material and I got time. Something people do a lot is when they're dragging drills, they'll do this. And right now I have an offset drill pattern because my engineer was standing in the way when I tried to build the drills. Your engineer cannot have a drill placed on top of him. You can have a belt placed on top of you like that. But when you're building these single lines, and we're not trying to min-max like hyper speed here, we're just trying to learn the run. If you're fairly new to speedrunning, I personally like just doing the pulls first, and then you can do belt and drills together, and I'm standing completely outside of the pattern, completely outside of it. I do not want to be standing where I'm building literally anything, and I'm just using R to rotate the drills for the top. Super simple. The worst thing you can do when building these is standing inside of them. If you stand inside of them, you are gonna hit a drill on yourself. It's gonna be annoying. Yeah. So, do we care about mixed mining, or does the base handle it for us? Yeah, that's actually a really good question. So mixed mining is super, super important to avoid. If you don't know what mixed mining means, every single drill should only be mining one thing. We talked about this a little bit with the patch, but like if you're building copper here, for example, let's say I'm building copper here. I wouldn't build this because it's a bad location, but let's say you're building copper here. Notice that on the right above my head, I am mining out of this drill copper and coal. That is horribly bad. Okay, you want to make sure that every drill is only mining one thing. The range that a drill mines, if it's not clear, is that small outline around it. So one tile in every direction around it, the drill will cover. And so when we're placing our drills down, we're always looking for that little outer ring to not be touching anything foreign. So like this is actually a super dangerous location to accidentally mix mine because it's a little challenging to see this little dollop of coal and it's just barely touching it. You have to be very, very careful that you're never mix mining. Now I don't have ore markers at the very, very start here. It should be relatively obvious if you're following the guide and you're going through it. It should be relatively obvious. So we're gonna start with iron coming into one of these 2 steel lanes. Doesn't matter which one, just put it into one of them. And then when you're building the inserters for steel, you can drag all of these pointing into the furnaces. So like left on this side, right on this side. We only want inserting into furnaces. And then you can just do a drag the other direction. So all of these inserters will now point the other way and you'll fix the original ones that you placed. Do this as slowly and carefully as you need to. If you screw this up, so like I do that and I got like 1 extra outserter here and now this has no inserting of coal. Let's just say I never noticed and I left it like that. There will be 4 stamps later that fix it. You will not catastrophically ruin your run if you mess up some steel furnaces. So don't stress too much about it. Just build the inserters you can. Later on, 4 stamps and bots will fix every problem you've ever created. Unless they're really severe, like mixed mining. Mixed mining, we can't fix that. If you do that, you're starting over. Okay, so that's the steel. Steel is completely built now. The other thing we need for steel furnaces is brick. In terms of like ideal routing, I would typically go out of the base and not come back until I have both iron and stone with me so that I can do all of this at the same time. We don't really need perfectly ideal routing right now, but like ideal routing, yeah. Do note that when you're building these brick smelters here, one of these inserter drags has a big open hole here for later. This is the entrance for stone right here. The stone entrance will feed stone to furnaces for you. And then this splitter will bring the original stone here. More stone will come in here later. And then don't forget the coal. So to build this coal, you can, if you're accurate, just click and drag to here. Do not drag another one because then you'll have coal coming in on both sides, which you do not want. So again, if you're accurate, you can just drag it through like that and stop. Do not build one more belt. Stone on this map I think is super awkwardly far away, so let's go get it. It's really far to the right. If I was doing a real run, this is the one I would go to because it's a straight line and the ease of building something like this is a lot faster than trying to not mixed mine any of this garbage. So in general, if you're picking between which stone to go to, I'd always go a little further to get one that builds cleaner. Okay, so when I'm building this, I do the belt first.
Damn it, Derek.
And then I do the 2 drags of inserters. And then keep in mind with the drills, we're always standing not on the drill line we're building because we do not want to do this. We're always like standing away from the drills. So now we've got brick, we've got steel. These steel furnaces will work now. Our next goal is to set up our larger power build. If you took a really long time like I did, these boxes will be full of pipe and gear, and you should have tons of iron plates here as well. With the iron plates, pipes, and gear, you're going to make 32 boilers. You're going to make 64 steam engines. You're going to make 32 burner inserters. And you're going to make a minimum of 6 offshore pumps. Minimum of 6. I usually make 10. Everybody jokes that I make more than I need. 6 is the minimum. You need to make at least 6. So now you should have 32 boilers, 64 steam engines, 32 burner inserters, and 6 offshore pumps. When you leave the base, just make sure that you bring enough drills and enough belts to do everything you're hoping to do, and make sure that your inventory has enough space in it to keep crafting the things you're hoping to craft. If you feel like you have too much of anything, leave it here somewhere in one of the boxes that it's designed to go into. So you got gear, you got pipe, everything's marked fairly clearly. And now we can leave the base to go build power. All right, so when you're leaving the base to build power, first thing you want to do is build one lane of coal into this other part of this splitter. This is going to be a full lane of coal. All right, with that done, now we need to send coal to the new power plant. All right, so I'm just making a little bit of space here to fit another drill pattern. All right, so when we're building this next section of power, we're doing a full coal lane. A full coal lane is going to this next section of power. And again, I'm choosing to go up and over. Every map is different. I'm not really going to get into like how to get coal to your power plant. I'm choosing to go this way. This map's kind of a weird one. You could go up, you could go down. So back in the on patch book that we had at the start of the run, there's one more blueprint in it, which is for power, for your second power. It looks like this. There's pipes on one side of it and there's a bell running through it. The intention is that you place those pipes near the lake and that your coal will come in from the other side. So you're going to place your 6 offshore pumps now. And you're going to connect all 6 of those offshore pumps to the power that you're building. Now, every map's a little different. The reason we're connecting 6 offshore pumps is that these pumps are not only going to provide power to, or water to this power, they're also going to bring water to the base later to be used for oil and all future power for the entire run. Typically, if this new power is the one that is closest to the base, we'd put all 6 offshore pumps into it. If this new power was way down here, I would put the 6 offshore pumps into this other power, because what we're going to do later is we're going to piggyback off the power and go up. Tips for building this power. I mean, there's a lot of different ways to do it, but I always do the power poles first, so that the pipe that's in between the steam engines are a clean drag. So if power poles are built, your pipes go in a lot easier. There, our power is built. Now, there's only one problem. Our power does not connect to the rest of the base. I've screwed this up dozens of times, as has everybody. Make sure that the power you add here connects to the base. Once that's done, you should now have a base that has steel and brick. It is making steel furnaces. You have all the power you're going to need to build outside Novice. You're ready for the next phase of the base now. So as you come back to the base, you probably have to research more at this point. The research I typically do at this point is research speed 1, research speed 2. I do the circuit network, the tool belt, the electric energy, the concrete, and the solar panels. It should visually be very easy because it's all in a straight line. It's literally just every single tech that is in this line right here. And then just leave that running. Now you're ready to stamp the 03 blueprint. So you can stamp that again, line it up with your existing blueprint, shift click it in. What we're building now is the preparation for your blue science. So we're adding a lane of iron in, and we're adding in a lane of copper. We're also upgrading our steel lane. So in total, right now, the total that you're bringing to the base is 1 lane of copper and 2 lanes of iron. The order is not super critical as long as it all gets brought there. I do it a little different every single run because it can depend on where my power is and routing wise where my copper is and the order that I feel like doing it in. So like if this was a real run I was doing and I was hyper focused, I probably would have finished this power and realized that I had a little nub of copper down here that I want to use because I'm probably never going to come down here again. And I probably would have put this in and brought this first. Another thing we can get into is a handcrafting list for this part of the run. So this part of the run is a little handcrafting chaotic, but generally I have lots of material and I'm just trying to handcraft enough stuff to build out the mall. So I'm trying to hit like roughly 50 more red inserters and like 50 more blue inserters. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. And then maybe 20 splitters and some undergrounds. I usually overcraft here and don't get super picky with how much I've made because I'm about to build the mall and not need to handcraft anymore. So sorry, yeah, copper goes in on the far left right here. Once it's attached, your next priority should be bringing 2 iron lanes because you're going to be upgrading steel, and you're going to be building the first real iron lane that's in the main base. I'm going to remove some of these rocks. So let's say you have a base like this that's full of rocks here. Didn't you already build them all? What gives? The mall that I built does not yet do red inserters, blue inserters, splitters, undergrounds. It doesn't do the extra stuff, the periphery. We're about to add that. So let's just say, okay, so a few things on deleting rocks. Ideally, when you're deleting a rock, you want to try to put your mouse directly on it, not on this, because that'll delete that. And now everywhere I drag, I'm going to be deleting stuff. Ideally, your first chop is only on the rock. And now I'm never going to let go of right click, and I won't delete this stuff, and I'll immediately start chopping the next rock. Hypothetically, let's say you accidentally do what I just did, which is let go of right click, and now I'm deleting a whole bunch of the base, but like I'm in a flow and I want to keep getting rid of rocks and I don't care. And now, oh my God, I've deleted half my base. Just restamp it. It's not the end of the world. Just finish getting rid of the rocks and then restamp. Super easy, not anything to panic over. When you come back into the base now, you've got two top priorities. Priority number one is upgrading the steel lane, because it should have, and I didn't do it, it should have 2 lanes of iron poking into it right now. So now my steel has 2 lanes of iron. Your number one priority is upgrading the steel lane. Your number 2 priority is building this iron lane right here. So to upgrade the steel lane, we're going to come to this box full of furnaces. You're hoping that it's got at least 96 steel furnaces in it. If it does have 96 or more steel furnaces in it, you're going to upgrade every single one of these to steel. You want this to be done all at the exact same time, not done like half and half, because it can cause problems with the way this sushi smelting works. So once every single furnace is upgraded to steel, you're going to place a power pole on top of this splitter right here. By doing that, you're going to enable all of the iron to come in. I'm not going to get into the weeds on how this works, but this will work fine. The coal will filter its way up, and you will be making a proper dual lane of iron. Of steel. Like 2 lanes of iron going into steel. It's sushi's, it's awkward, it's horrible, it uses logic. Now, you could say, well, Derek, why place a power pole there? Why don't we just right-click the splitter? It's possible that if you take that tact of right-clicking the splitter, and then let's say, okay, I've right-clicked the splitter, and then I accidentally did this and deleted half my print. Oh no, now I've got to restamp because I made a mistake. When I restamp, it's going to put the splitter back in. And that's bad. If I put a power pole here, and then I do the same thing, and I restamp, again, I'm not force stamping, I'm just holding shift and stamping, it will not place that splitter because I've put a pole there. So personally, what I do is I put a power pole there, so it completely prevents you from restamping and accidentally replacing the splitter. Yes, the splitter is gone in future stamps, but you might make a mistake, delete part of your blueprint, and need to restamp this exact same stamp, okay? So that's that. Steel's upgraded. Now we're gonna do this iron lane. You're building these 2 little nub belts, same as steel. You're building the 4 inserters that are red, that do coal, bringing the belt up. Getting coal into these lanes is typically the thing that slows them down the most. So building the coal inputting and the belts earlier, if you had the option, is obviously better. You should already have power poles on the right side of this lane, because those are the power poles that you brought into the base originally. You're just adding these 2 now. If you do not hand feed coal into these, which is fine, like a lot of runs I will hand feed coal to the bottom half, but if you don't, it's perfectly okay. It will start slower, but sometimes it's better to just let it start slower than worry about the manual loading of coal. Plus, it's a little dangerous now when you drag coal. So if I drag coal here, I find that in Space Age and 2.0, it's much easier to accidentally drag coal from a furnace and then just slightly to the right and hit these inserters. And notice how now there's coal on this belt. If you feel like those mistakes are not worth it, be very careful when you drag into these furnaces, or just don't bother. It will start on its own eventually. If you're not trying to get a world record, it's fine. In 1.1, you can't single drop into inserters. Yeah, that's what it is. See, and so you got to be really, really careful when you're dragging coal. Anyway, if you do not hand feed coal into these like sushi smelting weird designs, you will find that the top half will start working first, and the bottom half will start working second. Do not be alarmed if the bottom half of your furnaces, and we'll see this later, if the bottom half of your furnaces are not running and you're like, well, what the hell? They will start running. Just let the system churn up. It's a weird set of circuits. It will be fine. Okay. Now, this iron lane has 2 jobs. It's got a splitter here, and it's got 2 directions to go. The first direction we want to focus on is to the right. So if we bring this to the, and you're going to have to Q click a lot of this stuff because Smart Belt is really dumb now. So if I do this, oh, it worked. I can't predict Smart Belt. Be very careful when you're building drags through splitters. Okay, so if I have this blueprint in and I have this splitter built and I drag belts through, notice how it does not build 4 of these belts. This will come up a lot in a category like this that has blueprints and a lot of belts and splitters to drag. So just be careful in general when you're dragging belt through splitters. It doesn't work half the time. Your goal now is to get this iron belt up into the patch here. I typically build this so I can do a straight drag. So right now, if I build these copper arms, I can drag this belt all the way through to here safely. It should hit every single thing as long as you have the undergrounds. And now this belt can drag up. So it's all clean drags, easy. And once you have that iron coming into here, your goal is to build everything you see here, except for the labs. We're ignoring those at the top, but everything here, you're looking to build the mall, these engines, the blue assemblers, all of this. So let's bring steel up to these, start outputting pipe, and start building this entire mall section. A lot of Q clicking here because again, assemblers are, or sorry, splitters and belt are terrible the way that they behave right now. So Q click as much as you need to. This little underground that's sitting at the tip here does have to be built. It goes nowhere, but it has to be built exactly as it is. I know it's weird and it seems dumb. It has got to be built like that. Watch the drags on these poles. There's a little zig. And it's easy to mess up because 99% of the time they're straight in the mall, but those ones are not. All the outputting for inserters and belts is blue arms. So you can do it like that and then drag that through. These are all inputting red arms into here. Watch all the assemblers that make gear. If you get a little aggressive with your red arms, the left side is inputs. These ones are outputs. So just be careful with the gear. It will also add outputs to these 2. So just be careful when you're doing the gear. Otherwise, every single one of these red inserters is pointing to the right. They're very easy to build like that. And then on the right side of the mall, these ones all point to the right. These ones all point to the left. Like, for me, it's very obvious, but I think there's a lot of visual noise here, and that for new people, noticing the directionality of an inserter when you're in the middle of the run is not easy. So yeah, the only ones that you have to worry about in this entire strip is when you're doing gear. They have 4 inserts and 2 outserts. So like in and then back onto the belt. So you got to rotate the direction. This little section of red inserters here that feeds pipe and assemblers, it's all inputs and it drags through cleanly if you place the pipe first. And then here, just Q click every single one of these. The directionality is weird. Make sure you get them all correct. So now we should have automation of every major thing in our mall. You should have assembler 2s getting access to steel here. You should have everything you need. Next thing you're going to try to do is handcraft a bunch of assembler 2s, for which you're probably going to need to pick up as much steel as you, or like a bunch of steel. You probably have an excessive amount. Gear, circuits, plates. So just go through your mall, pick up everything you need, and you want to handcraft about 40, let's say 40 assembler 2s. You can upgrade your steel furnaces to assembler 2s. If you are slow, you will not need to upgrade these steel furnaces to assembler 2s. As you get faster, you will need to, but the base will automatically upgrade them later if you're slow. You're going to want to upgrade all the red and green science to assembler 2s. Again, if you are slower, you will be fine because your science is going to be ahead and it won't matter. If you're faster, it's an essential upgrade to upgrade all of those to assembler 2s. And then the last thing you're going to need is these engines built as assembler 2s. What you're going to want to do is pick up a bunch of pipe, a bunch of gear, and a bunch of steel, and come fully fill all of these engine assemblers with pipe, steel, and gear so that they start making engines. Once that's happened, flush anything out of your mall you think you need. So if you have your hotbar built correctly, you should see counts. Just get anything that you are low on from splitters, undergrounds, blue inserters, and red inserters, as well as belt and yellow inserters, and then more assembler 2s. You should now have enough stuff in your inventory to build this section here. By the way, this is probably the hardest split in the entire run. There's the most stuff to do all at the same time here, and the routing and the pacing is very challenging. This is a complex split with a lot to do. The next section we're building is this. The objective here is to start buffering green circuits, gear, and pipe for blue science. So we want to start buffering all this material so that's running. Then we will go get oil. Because oil is on the horizon, you should start thinking about handcrafting stuff for oil. So we are going to want 15 pump jacks. We are going to want 9 storage tanks. That's good for now. 15 pump jacks, 9 storage tanks. Then let's go build this copper lane over here so that we can get this side started. And this extra belt that you see on the left side is for coal to plastic, so build it as well. This is why I said copper is the last priority, but sometimes it's the first thing I bring, because if it's down by power and I want to get it, I would rather not have to leave the base to get copper right now. It's convenient that the ore is already here, even though technically it's the last thing I've built. If you do screw up and misplace poles or like accidentally delete some poles like that and feel like you need to manually replace them, notice that there's logic on some of these poles. There's also logic on some of these inserters. So if I accidentally deleted those ghosts and replaced them by hand, I would be careful and just restamp anytime you're like concerned, like, oh, did I delete the original placement of that? You really don't want to mess up the logic that is on all of this stuff. So I would always be a little careful and restamp if you feel like, oh, I'm not sure if I deleted something with logic on it. Again, technically, when you force stamp later in the run, it should fix anything you screw up, but always better safe than sorry. In our base, we should be seeing exactly this. We should be seeing our 3 on-patch belts going in. We also added an iron lane for steel, a stone lane for brick. We added a coal lane. We then added another iron lane to upgrade steel, another iron lane to start the furnaces that are doing iron for the mall and for the blue science, and we've added a copper lane for the green chips for blue science as well. Building this little section right here, the easiest thing to do is do the copper first, so get this little nub and do the turn, and then the coal will drag straight through. Same thing here. Whoops, go up. Okay, I accidentally deleted an underground there. So again, if I'm confused and I'm not sure, just restamp. Bring these undergrounds up. And then this guy should pop through. So again, this little turn here, all I'm doing is like, I have the belt and I'm spamming R as I turn through it. Practice, it looks fast, but it's not that complicated. Make sure you're aware of the directionality of all these belts. 2 of them are running left. The middle one is running right. Then we've got this one belt bringing copper, and then don't forget this little underground section bringing iron up to here. You should now see iron coming up into this section and copper coming into it from the bottom. You should be able to build these 4 assemblers here. And all of these poles should be straight and clean drags. They should all be very easy. I think I have enough assemblers. Yep. And then this central section of blue arms is a straight drag. No clicking needed. The trick with the top one is to build, so there's red and blue here. Build one color first, and then the other color will just drag through. All All right, so just make sure you build the catch right here for green circuits. Technically, that is all that is needed to be built. I left in a little bit extra, and it's okay if you build that extra, but it's not essential. The amount I've built right now is buffering gear, buffering pipe, buffering green circuits. That's all you're attempting to accomplish. Now our hope is to make a car, to make pumps, and to go get oil. Pick up all of your engine assemblers if you can. If you're having inventory problems, sort it out. And then your goal is to make 40 pumps. Pick up underground pipe, pick up regular pipe. You're hoping to have like 150 plus underground pipe for most maps. If it's not all there, handcraft more. You should have loads of iron plates and pipes available to do that. Things you can do to make your life a little easier right now is when you leave the base, just make sure you have a little bit of green circuits, a little bit of iron plates, gear, steel, and lastly, like 2 stacks of brick. The reason that you want all of these things is that you're gonna handcraft refineries and chem plants. You can only start handcrafting those things when you touch the oil. I also forgot to make a car. Whoops. We are ready to go to the oil. The oil on this map is to the far right. Typically when I go to oil, the first thing I do is bring poles and then I bring pipe on the way back. Ideally, you have some sort of screenshot tool so you can see roughly what your plan is for oil, but I know it's over here. The objective is to place all 15 pump jacks that you made. Ideally, you're looking for at least like 10,000%. This is 36,000. It's way in excess. If you're at 10,000, there's a blueprint in here for pump jacks. You can put this on your bar if it helps. There are pump jacks with speed 1s and there are regular pump jacks. If your oil stamp is small and it's between 10 and like 15,000%, put in the speed 1s so that later on you're more confident that you have enough oil. If you have a huge patch of oil like I have here, just put regular pump jacks in that do not have speed 1s. This should be more than enough. Is there any need to pre-blueprint the pump jacks? How is this making it faster? You don't really need to. The reason Zaspar, the reason Zaspar that it helps having the blueprint is when the pump jacks are in the forest. It actually does help a lot. If the pump jacks are in the middle of a forest or like full of rocks, it actually helps a lot. And then if you need speed 1s on your pump jacks, it's helpful to have a blueprint because then they all get placed. So it can be helpful, but it's like, it's one of those things where it's sort of map dependent, like whether or not you're going to use it. Okay, make sure all your pump jacks are on. Make sure they're all connected to a singular pipe, and then bring that pipe back to the base. If your oil is really far away, kind of like I'm experiencing right now, I am almost certain that I'm going to go too far right there. If you end up going too far for your oil limit, put in 3 pumps, power them, and then keep going. So that's another thing. As soon as you stamp the oil, you will unlock access to the techs that lead to blue science. So ideally, things on your mind, the second you stamp in a pump jack and power it, is to research plastic, red circuits, sulfur, blue science. Then you're gonna wanna hit batteries, inserters, bulk inserters, and inserter cap 1. I leave this tech order up, and then I keep building. The other thing you're going to want to do, the second you touch oil, is you're going to want to handcraft 14 refineries and 20 chem plants. 14 refineries and 20 chem plants. Then your next goal is to bring this oil to the base. Oil is going to be on the far left of the base. All right, so if you're using the beginner blueprints, you should have nice clean markers for where oil and water connect. So oil is going to hit these ones. Once you've brought oil, you need to bring water to these ones. So again, if you remember, we put 6 offshore pumps into this power. The reason we did that is that this tip of the power is a viable point to access water now. So now I can get my water straight out of the tip of the power here, run it up to the base. If you have a really, really awkward map, I have not had this happen yet, but I'm certain that if enough people run the category, it will happen. If your lake is extremely far from your base, every single time you have to pump water, you need 5 pumps. Once you're back with those 2 things, you can stamp in the next phase of the prince. This is the 1 stamp. So we've done these 0, 1, 0, 2, 0, 3. Those are like the beginner stamps. When you stamp 1, you're basically building the rest of the beginner, like the rest of the blue science build, and you're caught up with like what I would stamp originally on my runs. So shift in 1. You've now got your refineries, your pipe mess, and the power poles that connect into this stuff. The optimal way to build this. So typically I would go up each side with only the straight pipe first. So there's 1 in between each of these undergrounds. Do all of the straight pipe. When all of the straight pipe is in, your undergrounds can go in 1 clean drag. So because all of these have straight pipes, I can just Q click this underground, click and drag. I'm not gonna let go of my mouse. I'm just gonna bring it down. It builds everything. I don't have to be good. I don't have to be accurate. I can just go straight up with no skill of any kind. The hardest part of this build is building all of this singular pipe. So there's all these 1s and 2s, 1s and 2s, 1s and 2s. And then if you screw up, you got to replace the underground. If you happen to accidentally mix these like this, just make sure you flush water out of what is supposed to be oil. Not super complicated. Easy to mess up. But yeah, once it's built, it goes really smoothly. Then you're going to come up into this horrible section here, and you're going to add pumps. This is why we made 40 pumps earlier. You were adding all of these pumps and the inputs. Now you're going to be building these 9 tanks. Make sure this, so left side's light oil. You don't have to worry about that now. The heavy oil in the middle, make sure you bring this pipe through, because you absolutely will need heavy oil getting to this. And then you got a similar situation here with building non-underground pipe first. So that's all non-underground pipe. Now I can take my underground pipe and I can cleanly drag it through. Just like I said before, this underground should drag all the way down. Just 1 drag. Super easy. Now oil is going through the whole pipe. Now I can add my pipe and my refineries. Whoops. Done. Once your refineries are built, next priority is plastic, sulfur, sulfuric acid into blue science. There should be a belt here. This little section can be confusing, but this belt goes up, not down into this one. So up, through, and over. Leave it there. Get this power. When you are hardline dragging this power down, be aware that this does not connect to plastic. Plastic is a separate power drag. If you drag this hard down, it will put a pole where you don't want it. Just build to the sulfuric acid for now. You do not have to build all the way up to the batteries. Technically, you don't even need to build the sulfuric acid, but I always do. Now you've got plastic, sulfur. Building these inserters on plastic. I just want to go over that one more time. When you build the plastic inserters, there's 3 red, 3 blue. If you build all the red, you can drag the blue. If you build all the blue, you can drag the red. Whatever works best for you. Now you should have everything needed to start your main blue science build. You can do a check for belt, inserters, all that stuff. Make sure that you have a good amount of belt and a good amount of red and blue arms and undergrounds and splitters and yellow inserters. You'll also need a lot of, and assembler 2s. Once you have all the assembler 2s you want, everything else, splitters, undergrounds, belts. This is, I apologize. This is the most complicated looking thing to build. Yes, it's a little nightmarish. I am sorry. With practice, this comes together very quickly. So I'm going to go over as many little things as I can to make it easier. So your goal right now, you'll see there's 5 main rows of assemblers, or sorry, columns of assemblers. You've got bot frames on the far left, then electric engines, then regular engines, then blue science, then red circuits. The priority right now is on the right side, and you can completely ignore these engines here. The priority right now is on the red circuits, the blue science, and the engines. We want blue science to start as fast as possible. So we're not going to be building this section on the left yet. We're going to prioritize this section over here. First thing we want to do is bring steel through here so we can pop these undergrounds. There's poles that go in where the wires are, and then you've got a drag for the assemblers. You do not have to place them gingerly. Watch the inserters. It's 1 in, 2 out, 1 in, 2 out. Always 1 in, 2 out, 1 in, 2 out. This nightmare section here, if you build these pipes, you can get a clean belt drag through now. So with these chests in and these pipes, this confusing looking belt will come straight through. So drag, up, over, and up. One drag. I typically keep running it up here and then pop it up, down, over, up, and hit the splitter. And now that whole section that looks pretty confusing is done. Now you're going to want to bring the sulfur. This does not have a clean drag. You're just going to have to bring it through. Same thing with the steel. Not a clean drag. Just bring it through with Q clicks. Build your gear and your pipe outputs. And bring them up to the splitter. And bring this up to the splitter. Now you have access to gear, pipe, steel, sulfur, all sitting right here at the splitters. Now you need to build this jumbled up mess. The best thing I could tell you is to just Q click through the entire thing. There are some sections where you can get belt drags like this, and you can get a back belt drag here. But again, if you're confused by it all, just build it all one piece at a time. Up, down. These 3 inserters do a nice little RRR turnaround. And then there's 4 red here that drag nicely. And then once you have everything built around this, this belt will drag through cleanly. So sometimes the easiest trick to building something faster is the order that you build it. So you get nice drags of belts if you put everything else in first. So a lot of times when I build sections, like these pipes are doing nothing. They're in the blueprint later. These pipes are literally just here so that I can drag this belt through. That's it. If you build these arms first, this belt drags cleanly. There's like little things where if you leave belt at the end, it drags cleaner. Is any of that super important to finishing a run? No. All right. Next priority is building these 3 rows of assemblers. So let's start with red circuits, grab engines, grab blue science. I would say that I change the way I build this literally every single run. So is there a perfect right way? No, just do what works for you. I would say that for beginners, you should leave the belt till the end. Because if you build the belt first, while you're trying to build other pieces of it, you will get shifted around and you will build things wrong. So I would prioritize the belt first. Then I would come through and I would do the poles. This top section of poles annoying. You saw I started in the corner and you get a clean drag over and a clean drag here. And from that point on, it's just straight across. There's no zigzags. It's straight across every single time. Make sure on at least one of your passes, you remember to build these wire assemblers. 1 in, 2 out. 1 in, 2 out. Also, I am building this outer belt. Reason I'm building that one and not the inner ones is I walk on top of these inner ones a lot more. And those are the ones I'm trying to avoid sliding on. The outer one I'm never going to touch. Okay. Next thing in this build is a line of red inserters that go up the side of the red circuits. They're every second red circuit assembler. Don't hit the yellow ones. Only hit the red ones. Once that's done, I'm going to do the belts on the interior. I always leave inserters for dead last because you're going to want to drag inserters through the entire build. Make sure your belt directionality is good because these ones go up, these ones go down, these ones go up. So always keep re-Q clicking. Remember that when you place these two splitters, your belt drag through here is going to break. So I always like do it all in one thing at a time. Make sure you don't forget these two boxes, blue arms and blue arms. Those boxes will need to be there or the whole system will break, including the engine one. This last red circuit is a little annoying. It has a little pass through here. So if there's a tree here, delete it. Now every single part of the build is done except for the yellow inserters. The top of the yellow inserters are a little awkward. As soon as you finish the top section, it becomes very easy. It's all lefts and then all rights. All lefts and then all rights. So I'm just pressing R in between every section and then just doing all left, all right, all left, all right, all left, all right. And then I'm done. Just don't forget the last few red circuit assemblers at the very, very bottom. There. This is blue science, completely done now. You've got a sushi belt that is going to make you red circuits, blue science, engines. It's going to store extra engines at the top. It's going to store extra red circuits down at the bottom for roboports. It is completely finished. The only thing you don't want to forget is bringing the blue science, which I'm doing right now, to the base. So this belt will bring blue science to the base. Done. Do note that when you're dragging these undergrounds down, this last belt is turned inward. If you accidentally place an underground here and manually fix the belt like this, it could cause problems. It should fix those problems when you force stamp, but just be aware that belt turns in for later. Once blue science is done, we're going to migrate over to the left side and we're going to start building batteries. It's important to do the batteries right away because the batteries need to buffer in time to be ready for the bot frames. Don't forget the lube. Make sure that the lube has heavy oil all the way brought into it, because when you leave the base, you will not notice. This section's a little hard on the eyes, but one thing that can be helpful is there's 3 red inserters here. They all point left. So when you grab one, you can build all 3. And then your blue inserters, if you've got this box placed and this assembler placed, you've got a clean drag straight down. There's a few little things that can be dragged nicely there, but it is kind of a mess. Build it to the best of your abilities. And then this is going to be the exact same as the blue science. You're dragging assemblers. Don't forget the pipe that brings lube. This belt wraps around. Do not forget this little engine addition. If you forget this, you will not make any bot frames. And then poles. So once everything is built, including all the poles, you should have some relatively easy drags for inserters. You got rights and then lefts, rights and then lefts, rights, lefts. It's going to change up here in a second. So when you're doing the bottom section and you transition here, right where this becomes a bot frame, just slow down and make sure you have it correct. And then it'll transition back into just lefts, all lefts. Super easy. Done. Hardest part of the run's over. You've got blue science. You've got bot frames. It's going to get so much easier now. All right, so let's look at tech. At some point, your tech's going to be blinking. If you're doing a run and you're slower, you probably, where's the lube? The lube doesn't have research yet. So the lube is here, but there's no heavy oil yet. So if you're doing this run at a slow pace, you've probably visited the tech tree many times and researched tons more stuff than I have. I'm trying to keep the tech tree limited to what I have researched in a faster paced run so that you reasonably see like the critical order and the timing when you get faster. If you are slower, just research more stuff. There's no harm in researching more stuff. There's not a single research you can do that's going to kill your run at this point in the run. Just keep researching more things. It's not a big deal. Things you might want to prioritize if you're slow: mining prod 1, inserter cap 2, all of the modules, accumulators. All of these things are fine. For right now, we're going to work on bots. So when you have blue science done, you want advanced oil, you want lube, you want electric engines, you want robotics, you want construction bots, not logi bots. It's easy to mix that up. They look kind of similar. Construction bots, bot speed 1 and bot speed 2. That should fill your tech line and you're good. If your pace is fast enough, while those things are researching, ideally, you're going to want to come pick up drills, pick up belt, which I see is broken. So, okay, this can happen in slower paced runs. If this happens to you, because I am going really slow, copper is full, and this copper buffer does not get used till later. It will get used later, and this won't happen again. If you find this is filling up for you and your runs, come here and just flush out some copper. If you have to, you can put it here. If these are completely full, you can put a box right here in between drill and belt and fill it with copper. Again, these are small problems because you have another access point to belt up here, and you can get belt from here. Yes, this does shut off some of the green science, but if you are this slow, odds are you have a really good buffer of green science up here, which I have 2.3 thousand. So yes, some things in the base can work suboptimally if you're slow, but if you're that slow, it doesn't matter. You should have access to everything. You should have access to belt, access to inserters, tons of science. It doesn't really matter. I've had this happen. I manually filled the copper wire assembler near blue science. That also works. You can just dump, just dump copper anywhere. These boxes can fill up if you're too slow. It will fix itself later because we're going to use all of this buffered copper later on. All right, sorry, back to the actual goal right now in the moment. What we're trying to do right now is fill our inventory with belt. We have lots. With underground, we have lots. And with drills, we have lots. The other thing we're going to want is a bunch of steel furnaces. So get drills, belt, underground belt, steel furnaces, and power pole. You are going to build this connection piece for iron. And then this little belt right here, you are going to turn this iron belt into it and point it up. That is critical. It will get force stamp fixed later, but it's much better if you just do it yourself. Then you're going to steel furnace all of the iron. I am going to be a little late to bots. I don't care. I'm going to go over everything that you should have time to do before bots. Even as a somewhat beginner runner, as you get a little faster, you should have time to do all this. This is going to get another lane of iron. And once that iron lane is upgraded, one thing I did forget to do is remember every time you're upgrading these with steel furnaces, power pole away the splitter. As soon as the steel furnaces are placed, you can get rid of the splitter. We're going to do the same thing at copper. We're going to upgrade copper to steel furnaces. This one's a little easier to build than the iron because it'll just drag from here. You don't have to be picky at all. And then again, turn this middle belt into that one. And then again, steel furnaces are built so I can pull onto this splitter. It doesn't matter that I don't have the copper here yet. As long as the steel furnaces are built, you can put that pole there. It's fine. In a real run, especially as your pace gets faster, you should have time before bots research to do each of these lanes, the iron upgrade and the copper upgrade. The next priority, if you're fast, is as much iron as possible. You'll notice that the rest of the lanes for the rest of the run, they're all going to be marked. And your priority is these 5 iron lanes, followed by 2 copper and a coal. You want this section running as fast as possible, especially the iron. So if you have time, you should be pumping out extra iron lanes and getting them connected here if you can. The other thing you want to do on the way up to the base when you're doing bots, take all the furnaces out of this box. You're going to need to put those where boilers are in a moment. Okay. Bots are researched. You've added a bunch of lanes. I'll get the rest of those iron lanes in a second. Roboports should be coming out of here. Grab roboports, put them on this ghost right here. And then you're going to, oh, one thing I forgot to do, haha. When research is happening, the second advanced oil finishes, which I totally forgot about, The second advanced oil finishes, you should be stamping base number 2. Number 2 specifically says advanced oil. If you shift click this in, and you can do this from anywhere on the map when you're out doing iron lanes, you need to shift this into advanced oil or you will not have bots on time. So heavy oil will start, which will make lube, which will make your electric engines, which will make your bot frames, which will make bots.